Hey, we got boobited. I got this boobited too.
Hey, after 3 or 4 attempts to get the memory card in and to get the thing to record. Hey, Patreons.
Hello.
It's been another one of those days.
Yes, it has.
All right, now that I'm, that other Florida attraction over there in the center of the state that we're not supposed to patronize, or not, that's not the right word, not patronize, make fun of.
That's patronize.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other kind of patronize, though, is going there is called patronizing it.
Well, let's see if I can do it. No, can't do it. Still voicing, still there.
Oh, hey, Patreons. I hope everybody had a good and happy Thanksgiving.
Yes.
And you remembered the purpose of the day, which is to think on things that you were thankful for.
Mm-hmm.
Like my wonderful wife, my wonderful daughter, the home, my friends, this podcast.
You, the listener?
Yes. You, the listeners, because we'd be talking to ourselves again if it was not for the listeners. And that's a scary thought.
Hello. Anybody out there?
So we're going to get ready to kick off show what?
It's show 106.
Show 106.
And
106.
Yes. And anybody
That's older than I am.
If anybody want to ask, no, I don't have the Rona. I scream raged myself to sleep at work one day. Besides the point,
he shows up here. It's like, you've been drinking? No.
This is my whiskey voice.
So, anywho, shall we commence? Are you going to do the lead-in?
No, I'll let you do the lead-in.
You'll let me do the lead-in? Actually, I ought to put the screen up since it is for the show.
Yeah, you did do?
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, check it out, man. Hey, you may now legally decorate for Christmas.
And according to the world of Scott, who is the original, off-season grump for anybody
I'm the
so
overlord.
much as mentioning presents, Santa, Christmas, anytime before Black Friday.
No, you have till 10:30 Thanksgiving morning.
So you can go watch the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade.
Exactly.
Wasn't that spooky?
Dude, oh my God. Yeah, no.
It was like shades of what was that movie with, was it Kurt Russell when they escaped from New York? Or no, that was Stallone, wasn't it?
No, it was Kurt Russell.
Kurt Russell.
It was Snake Plissken.
Yeah. I knew you'd know the details.
Childhood not gone to waste.
The empty New York, and here's the parade going through, and I'm like, ooh, that was eerie.
Yeah.
But anyhow, we hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving, however you chose to celebrate it, whether it was just being with family, quiet time by yourself, turkey, ham, whatever.
I don't think we even started the show yet.
I know we didn't.
Okay, good.
That was all for the
Patreon. Okay, good, because it sounded really good. Well, now, of course, the wheel's going to fall off. The wheel's going to fall off when we start the show.
You want me to put the script up there so we can remember it?
No, I'm sure we got it now. Something about, like, taking pictures or something. We're fine.
That's at the end, but yeah.
Okay. Flatulent giraffe.
Hey, Jeeples. Welcome to another episode of On the Trail with Kevin and Scott. I'm Kevin, the engineer, the guy who, reads instructions, follows them, and uses the right tools.
And I am Scott. I'm the slapstick parts guy, like my turkey. Man, am I stuffed? I'm telling you what, I'm full.
I can't even do a turkey.
Of both jokes and the fact that I can't talk anymore. So with that, why we will share what worked for us as well as what didn't. Remember, it's always up to you to do your research, read the instructions, and please
follow them.
Yes.
They put a lot of effort. Well, I should say a lot of companies put a lot of effort. Some of them hand them to a 4-year-old illiterate child who kind of goes pokey thing in whole thing and bolt thing tight. And
the other half go to your inappropriate friend that goes, hey, put slot A into slot B. That's what she said. Welcome to 106, folks. Welcome to 106.
Well, we hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yes.
It was wonderful here. I am most thankful for my charming and wonderful wife, great daughter, and friends, Jeeps, and the world in general has been as rosy as could be for 2020. Which means I'm looking to make sure that rosy glow is not due to a fever of a infected mob coming up to visit. Except it's not brains, it's turkeys.
It's like that one meme I saw. It had the giant turkey going over the city like Godzilla, going, "Welcome to 2020 Thanksgiving, folks." Like,
Yes. Who's roasting who?
Exactly.
I'm not going to use a phrase that I saw.
Yeah, pretty much. Cough. Welcome to our Jeep show.
Yes.
I am thankful for the Jeep show and family, friends, health for the most part. And those who are going to ask, Scott, do you got the Rona? No. It's just me rage screaming myself from home from work one day. But that's besides the point. I'm good mentally for the most part, and here I am.
Yeah, him going in rage screaming makes me kind of glad I'm retired.
It's only work, he said with a slow eye twitch. Right, Patreon viewers?
So this is show 106, a show that's older than I am.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
Almost as old as my jokes.
No, we're centuries away from that.
Ow. You see the guys in the Mayflower? Whoa.
Yeah, we are now into the Scott authorized Christmas season.
Yes.
You may now display trees, ornaments, and lights without sarcastic comment or snarky feedback.
From the overlord of Christmas, Scott.
Santa must love you.
No, he does. He skips my house every year. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, I have no idea.
Hey, I get to eat all the cookies. I'm good. Which is probably why we had to fix my seat. Moving on from that.
Yeah, well, that's a topic for another discussion.
Yeah, hopefully we don't have to wait till spring.
You're just bouncing from one bad joke to another.
I know, man. This whole jokes have left me like my foam in my seat compressed. So with that, we hope you, again, like he said, y'all had a safe and happy Thanksgiving with family and friends.
Mm-hmm. And hopefully you're now heading into a new and novel experience of Christmas behind a mask. 6 feet away. I want to see how you visit Santa 6 feet away. Now, I've already seen the virtual Santa visits, where you can Zoom or otherwise connect over line, to Santa. But I think it'd be better if they had a little hovering thing that the kid sat on, this little hovering thing 6 feet away with a plastic screen, and he could, Santa'd be a lot happier. I'm sure I could rig up something. Put them on a carousel so as they go past. Hey, Santa, I want to.
That's going to be a good segue. You want to know why?
Why?
You know what that carousel's missing? A 392. Woo!
If Scott always has to go back to the internet. We will never lack for content. As long as that man can get on the internet and just Google
anything.
Jeeps.
Yeah.
So, the following diatribe is the property of Scott, and not necessarily agreed to by all other parties on the trail.
Yeah. Well, again, this show's going to have a little bit of asterisks.
But by the way, guys, you may want to get yourself an adult beverage and some popcorn.
Yeah, this is going to be some kind of... A lot of this is my observation, and if I do hear to misspeak, my attorney-in-law and partner, Kevin, will pull back the chains and say, easy killer, because sometimes my frustration bleeds over. And I lose my filter sometimes, speaking of rage screaming at the way home from work. But no, in all honesty, it's like, the Jeep, obviously, we talked about when they released the Bronco, and we said, man, there was hints about the 392 Jeep coming out and V8 power.
V8. It wasn't, at that point, it wasn't even 392. It was just, they're considering a V8. They're considering a V8.
Which is very interesting because some of the pages I'm on, which deal with the Gladiators, there are some people that are deep in the FCA land. Okay,
gotcha.
And like I learned something new when they talked about the Mojave, about how it's a reinforced axle for the rear. You'd think they have the same axle assemblies as the Rubicon. The rear is not. The rear actually, even though it's a wide track Rubicon axle, finger quotations here, kids, is a different. It is a reinforced housing with a lot stronger of a housing compared to a regular Rubicon.
Okay.
Which I thought is odd because, wouldn't you want your Rubicon to be your top tier? But apparently not. So a lot of these people have the insight, and apparently they've been working on the 392 Jeep for over 2 years now.
That would have meant they were probably planning it when we were at SEMA back in 18.
They were already they've had these vehicles literally on the road. You'd never know it, out in the open. being mule tested by their employees, being driven around all the time. So these drivetrains have been tested rather extensively, which is kind of...
Are we getting our cart before our horse here? Because you haven't made the statement that was so enraging to you.
Well, and then, again, there's some things that they have kept close to the chest. Is this an all-wheel drive system? Is this going to be a standard,
part-time four-wheel drive?
And the statement that made my eye go thwink is where they go, this drivetrain is going to blow itself apart within minutes. I'm like,
and folks, I will qualify. We had a little discussion over this before I let him,
before you took the chain off my leash.
Let's phrase it this way: most people are very happy to see the Jeep coming out
with a V8.
With a V8,
yeah.
But there's a smaller group of people that are decrying it as a self-destruction mechanism.
Yeah.
The two groups are not necessarily the same. I'm sure there's a few bleedovers between the two. Oh, I'm glad to see a Jeep with a V8. That's wonderful. It's going to destroy itself. And they may do it in all one breath like that. But the point is Scott's sitting here going, go ahead and finish. Let you have your rage.
It's not really a rage, because deep down I'm a really nice guy with a murderer's face. But the point is that, I think the kids call it RBF, and that's as far as I'm going to go with that. But I have always looked very sinister, But the point of the story is that when I read comments like that, it kind of, I'm going to hopefully get this right, Kevin, is that when they came out with any Jeep, doesn't matter what Jeep, like when they came out with the YJ, square headlights, that's blasphemy, panhard bars, oh my gosh, what are you guys thinking of? The TJ, oh good
coils.
God, plastic seat interior and coils. We all know everyone hates the new Jeep that came out because it's supposedly less like a Jeep, but that's another show for another topic.
I actually think it's because they don't have that.
A little bit of that. But also, too, is that, so when the JL came out, it's just a Fiat, it's this, it's just that, okay, I get it, there are some Fiat underpinnings, and yes, it's owned by Fiat now, and that kind of hurts my heart a little bit. I'm just being real.
But then again, you drive a TJ right now.
Yes.
An LJ version, but it's a TJ, just like mine. Yours is an 05. And guess what it has a lot of pieces of?
Yeah.
Mercedes.
Mercedes.
Very expensive, hard to find. My God. Fortunately, I have expunged those parts from mine. We still have that to do to yours.
Yeah, we're working on it. But when I see comments like that, you got to remember that the Chrysler company, FCA, does look at feedback from social media. And
quite a bit.
You guys know me, that I'm usually low-key and I don't post much of anything on social media because, again, I'm waiting for the day I get flamethrowed, and this may be the day. But I said, here's a little caption, Jeep people, we want a Jeep truck. We've been waiting one since 07, since you showed the original Gladiator. Jeep, here you go. Here's a Gladiator. Oh, that sucks. Some people, we want a V8. Well, here you go. Oh, it'll kill itself. Jeep literally is going to go, I give up. I
doubt that, because here's the thing we know we met the PAO staff from FCA in 2019
at SEMA.
Wonderful people, really wonderful people.
I think Tanya was one of her names.
I believe so. And they understand one key fact: the loud people are usually the ones upset. Happy people don't go and post 3-page diatribes on how happy they are.
Right.
They drive their Jeep. If they're happy with it, they just shut up and drive.
Right.
They wheel, they go to Sockers, they go to the grocery store, they go to work, and you know what? I'm going to be very unscientific here and just say, judging by the number of Jeeps I see on the highways around West Central Florida, there's a lot of happy Jeepers.
There are.
I was out one day just counting, and not to start another argument with folks, but I tend to Jeep wave just because it's kind of cool. Particularly right now, we're in the outdoor weather in Florida, as opposed to everybody who says, "Don't you take your top and doors off during the summer?" No, I look pretty bad, beat red,
and I don't want to die of dehydration going from here to the Publix 3 miles down the road.
Now that we're down into the mid 80s to mid 70s pretty regularly, rain is pretty distant in the forecast. It's pushing into our dryer season. Now's when the doors come off and the tube doors goes on and the target top gets opened up. So, I'm a little more in the, hey, nice Jeep kind of thing going.
Right.
And one day, just driving between here and the farm that I've talked to you guys that I do volunteer work at, it's probably 30-minute run across, Brandon, Florida, from one corner to the other. I counted passing over 38 Jeeps,
Right.
And that's running through town. That's pretty impressive, when you're stoplight to stoplight. And now that was a mix. That was everything, some really rad CJs running around, an enormous number of JKUs,
Right.
The occasional Gladiator, a lot of TJs bouncing around. So, but, happy people don't do those long posts.
Yeah.
And I think Jeep knows that. So I'm going to say they're smart enough to kind of weigh it. All right, maybe it's a ratio. Maybe if it's, if they get more than 100 to 1 of nasties to compliment, then they start to worry.
Yeah.
But, in all the forums that I follow, it's you never really see people going off on the deep end. I see a small post about, oh my God, I got this lift. It's great. It's wonderful. I can't wait to wheel some more.
Yeah.
But my heavens, if you get insert name brand lift kit here and it squeaks, or the Jeep pulls to the left, or it makes a funny thunk, it's page after page after page of negativism. And it's sad because you could do better to take that energy and go back to where you bought it and start asking questions and saying, hey, why is this doing that?
Well, one of the things I found is when I saw a lot of the negative posts about the 392 Wrangler, and again, they have the same engine and V8, or same engine and transmission in the Scat Pack Charger.
Yep.
Okay.
Which we just saw today.
And knowing it's got a 210 millimeter drive shafts.
Yep. And the little
7.5 inch ring gear. And these guys are romping on these 8-speed transmissions. I got people saying all the time, well, I get average about 8 miles per gallon because I drive it in track mode every day. Well, yeah, that'll break something, definitely.
Will it? I bet it doesn't break anything other than your budget for the gas. Because I'd be surprised that they build the vehicle with the ECM capable, programmed with more power than the transmission or the drivetrain or the rear axle can handle.
Yeah.
Not saying that they can't put themselves into a situation that the shock load wouldn't do it. If you do a burnout over a pothole, you're probably going to break something.
Yeah.
But in general, let's give the engineers at least, I'm biased, I realize that. And a little thing on the wall here that tells me that I'm biased, a pro engineer.
Yeah.
Spent my life doing that, as well as a lot of my fortune. But and that being in the loosest sense of fortune. I own a Jeep, just empty every pocket.
He can upsize his meals.
But they're not going to build something and sell it to the public that self-destructs.
Yeah, they have to warranty it.
Yes, they do have to.
Even if it's only for 36,000 or 60,000 miles, they still got to warranty it.
Yeah, they will warranty it. So now, as soon as you start modifying things, now the Scat Pack crew, they do some, but they're not as bad as we are.
No.
The guys that slap on bigger tires and don't re-gear and don't reprogram,
there's something.
How many times have we seen the Rapaza drive shafts go boink?
Yeah. Well, and that's back to what I said when I looked at the post and I looked at all the naysayers. I hate to call people out, but I'm not using any names. A lot of the naysayers. Look, let me back this up a little bit. A lot of the positive people had JLs and JKs in their profile pictures.
Yep.
And there was even some CJ and TJ people there. But majority of the people that were downplaying and saying it would destroy itself were the people that didn't buy the newest vehicles.
Yeah.
Is that a better way to say it?
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like, again, we talk about like Jeep and Chrysler is in business to sell vehicles. I mean, it's great that you have a Willys or a CJ or
even a TJ.
Even a TJ. But, that's great. But, it's like the influx of cash to buy a new vehicle.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's what keeps the brand. And before my email inbox gets flooded with hate mail saying, well, the Jeep brand should have died out because they didn't listen to the public. Well, look at the four doors.
They did listen to the public, and that's why it's one of the hottest selling brands out there.
Yes.
Unfortunately, if you want the uber unique specialty version, you're in the minority. And we're not trying to be nasty. It just means you're lucky because Jeep allows the design of the Wranglers, the Gladiators, even some of the other ones to be accessed early by the specialty motorsports community for aftermarket editions. They could design it as a fully welded unibody vehicle very easily, The whole other rest of the line is. They could design it with independent suspension. They could design it, that's spot welded on, and that kind of stuff. And instead, they're still producing a vehicle based upon the 1940s.
Yeah. Ladder frame,
solid axles, and typical Hotchkiss type suspensions, from a 4-link to leaf springs on some of them, and different things like that. And part of that is because we do want that kind of a DIY vehicle, and Jeep is willing to fill that market niche and provide. Read the releases on the new Bronco, and some of the comments in the meat of Ford's write-up is that they designed it for the aftermarket to be modifiable, and that is the real challenge to the Jeep hierarchy, because Jeep has had that market almost to themselves. Suzuki made a good strong run at it, and then the safety community, we'll just leave it at that, branded it as an unsuitable vehicle and got the negativism.
It's very interesting you talk about that. May I byline for one quick second? If you guys look at, I'll give a shout out to them. They're called Donut Media. Okay, they're on YouTube. And they did a write up about that, and they showed where Consumer Reports actually, you could hear them in the recording saying, "Okay, we finally got it." They were trying to get that thing to roll over. They were having the hardest time to get it to roll over, and it found out that eventually, investigation that Suzuki said is that they wanted to give the vehicle a bad rep. So
because it sells more,
and it was cheaper,
and so you get. No, I'm saying the bad rap makes their media, and their advertisers, and you have the same thing. I can still remember with the whole hoopla with the General Motors pickups in the 70s with the side impact
saddle gas tank,
and they finally got caught red-handed, and you saw a little rocket motor from a model rocket that had been turned on and burning under the fender, so that when the impact occurred, any gas that did spill out would immediately burst into a ball of flame for that dramatic shot. And unfortunately, they didn't catch that and post edit, and it made it out to the public. And of course, at that time, even though the internet was very, very young and media was very limited, there's still people like the rest of us out there that will go frame by frame. The truth's there. So, but duly noted, the key here is Jeep is listening to you. You guys wanted a V8, you have a V8. I don't know about you, but I haven't seen one come to our dealerships yet with the V8. Have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay. It will get here. I would not go out there, and this is me personally, not telling you what you should think or not think, but I kind of have a sneaking suspicion that when it rolls off the showroom floor, it'll probably be perfectly safe and a little more thrilling than the V6 variety. How will it handle over the long haul when people lift it, when they add larger tires? That's really up to you. As I have always said, if you put larger tires, re-gear to keep the drivetrain and the computer in its programmed mode, it'll be happier. If you just go out there and slap on 40s, and trim the fender wells, you're going to blow drive shafts and you're going to burn clutches out of the transmission. And it's not going to be because of the 392. It's going to be because you're abusing the vehicle.
Right. Well, that's one thing everyone kept saying, it needs to have a manual transmission. It needs to have a manual transmission, the 392, to certain people. And I'm like, why? Like you just talked about, you're going to burn out clutches. Unfortunately, to the stick stirrers, it is what it is, and that's why the 392 is only going to come in the Rubicon trim, because I just recently found out that a lot of the JLs have a Dana 35 rear end.
Yep.
That's why your 392, everyone says, well, it's going to be so expensive. Well, they're going to want to have those Dana 44s front and rear.
Yep. And just think of it, okay, if it comes with an automatic transmission, there's just one more mod that you can do. You can go to Tremec. I would guarantee you that within a year or less of the issuance, Tremec will have a 5 or a 6 speed conversion kit or parts available. You know it because the 392 is out there.
Right.
It's not a new bell housing shape. Okay, it's known. It's just going to be a matter of a little R&D development and.
Give it time.
Give it time.
Yeah, someone will do it.
Someone will do it.
Well, and that's like when there was, again, back to our original statement, is that, like I said, the Trackhawk, that's got the Hellcat with the blower on it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's pushing 700 plus horsepower.
Yep.
I don't know the exact figures, but I think I'm near the same wheelhouse. And that thing is all-wheel drive, and that thing has survived under warranty. Now, again, have people had problems? Yes. I know of one in the Tampa Bay area that's gone through its second transfer case system. But if you listen to it, it's been hollowed out, it's been track raced, and it has been beated like a rented mule, and there's more to that vehicle than meets the eye because they have done upgrades to it. Again, they took the vehicle beyond the engineered limits.
Beyond the parameters that Chrysler had designed it to.
Correct.
And that's really what I think people are jonesing about, is they want the ultimate toy that, what do you want to call it, the Jeep version of the Mr. Potato Head. I don't care what you plug into it, it's going to run fine.
We talked a little bit about that, about how the cost for engineering that something will not break exists, but no one wants to pay the price.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to pay the $500,000.
Yeah.
You know, the closest thing you'll find to that mythical "you can't break it" is the H1 Humvee, not the Hummer, but the Humvee, the military spec one. You can still find them in yards that sell authorized stuff, and it's got a multi-fuel engine sitting in it, and granted it's independent suspension, but it's got plenty of ground clearance, and it goes just about anywhere. And if you roll it over, you roll it back down, pat it on the back, and burp it, and send it off again.
Yeah.
So it does exist, but I don't know exactly how many millions or billions the federal government put into the design of the
R&D on it.
The R&D alone. So I get it, folks. I get the frustration, but if you're not one of the naysayers, just remember that when you see all these negative posts, these are opinions, and opinions are kind of like.
Yep. Everyone's got one.
Everyone's got one, and most of them aren't any good.
Well, not only that, it's impolite to show them in public.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No,
I am not wrong. I am staring right at the Patreon camera and giving it a wink because y'all know I'm not wrong.
Yeah. So, it's okay to have doubts.
Yeah.
And I wonder how that's going to handle. But my question is more honest. It's, okay, let's see how this works when we lift it, when we put somebody's going to want to put 42s on it. How well is that going to handle? And it's not so much of the components going to handle it, because if they break, they're going to be part of the kit, I'm sure. Just like, why you lift a TJ more than 2 inches. What's the rule of thumb? You got to put an SYE on. Okay, it's just a given.
Yeah.
It's going to be that kind of learning curve. But, beyond that, is the computer going to be reprogrammable or flashable to adapt to that? What is the cam in the 392? Because you mentioned the Challenger. And the Challenger is great, but that's a road car. You can move your power band up in the RPM curve. In a Jeep, you need to push it the other way.
Yeah.
Jeeps perform best in the low RPM, developing lots of torque. So that's my question about the 392. Now, does Jeep really care about that? And I'm going to be a little negative here and say probably not, because they're counting on most of them being driven on the highway.
Yeah.
So they're going to develop a cam profile and a power band best suited for the commuter
to send an unaerodynamic brick down the interstate.
Yes, at a reasonable speed, and so the aftermarket will step in. So I guarantee you that Edelbrock, Banks, all of the different programming companies are going to be out there going, okay.
They already are for the Scat Pack.
Right, for the Scat Pack. But so you're looking at, will we cam the 392 to move the torque curve down? Will we adjust the profiles in the programming of the ECU without busting the limits?
Well, here's my counterpoint. And I actually did a little research before looking into this.
I am rubbing off on you.
I know, really. An average older JK, 3.6 motor, 3.8 motor, 2011 and older, you can find an average four-door for right around average price $15,000.
That's not bad.
Okay, so let's say you buy one of those for $15,000, because everyone's saying this new Rubicon is going to come out. It's going to be $79,000. Okay, so here's one for the built not bought crowd. You buy a $15,000 JK used. Doesn't matter how many miles. Crate axles, the 60 series crate axles from Dana. Again, I'm looking at MSRP pricing. Yes, you can get them cheaper, about $7,000 to $8,000 each. Okay, so
and that's geared and ready to bolt in and drive.
That's ready to go. So that let's just say you get them cheap, you get a discount. Let's say you pay $16,000. Okay. So now you have 15 plus 16 is math. That's $31,000. Okay. Having bruiser conversions, on average, a little higher, a little less, $30,000 to do an LS conversion. Okay. Let's just say $30,000. You're at $60,000 for a vehicle that can handle 40s, your V8 conversion, it's a four-door Jeep, and you're done. So it is cheaper, and it can handle all the power. Yes, it doesn't have the 6.4. It comes in a little cheaper, and you can build it to your likings and specs.
But you're not that different in price.
You're not that different in price.
And you don't get a warranty, other than the pieces warranty, and you don't get all of the other things that come with the new vehicle.
So here's my question, and here's my thing. We'll cover this on a different show, because we talked about how everyone says, you can do a junkyard V8 engine swap for $5,000 easy. Well, you and I both know, and even a lot of our friends who are in the business too, that do Jeep V8 swaps, not even close. Because there are so many things you got to think about. Engine cooling, to making hoses for the power steering pumps to work. Do you want air conditioning? I know if I'm going to spend a lot of money in V8 conversion, it's Florida. I'm sorry, you need air conditioner.
Yeah.
The whole 240 crowd, not when it's raining. You know what I mean? So again, average outside temperature of 100 degrees plus a V8 pump and heat in that cab, nope, I want AC.
Yeah. The swap can take time and money to do it right. And now, granted, I'll be the first one to admit, what's right is very, very much a personal opinion.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to the Gladiator with the 392. I want to see
the Rubicon.
I'm sorry. Well,
eventually they're going to have a V8 eventually.
Yeah, but we'll see what it comes out like.
Hopefully.
It's the same chassis up front. I'm pretty sure if it's going to roll off, one will be right behind the other. But that's my opinion.
We're going to call it Napoleon Bonaparte. This transfer case. This is where I get kicked into the table.
No,
kids.
This is sidebar, folks. Here's the reason most transfer cases get blown up. It's very simple. They are for use on limited traction surfaces only. If you put it in four-wheel high and go zipping down the freeway, I don't want to hear it. It's going to go boom one of these times. It has no way to release the any one of the non-all-wheel drive, all four-wheel drive systems do not have a release in there for the most part. There are a few older cases and very expensive cases that either have the I can't remember the term for it, but the fluid-filled clutches in the transfer case. Viscous coupling.
Yeah.
And a few that even have open differentials, but that's an all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about the standard selectable transfer cases that we all seem to enjoy and demand, where we want that constant power. The problem is, if it's turning 600 RPM at the front shaft, it's turning 600 RPM at the back. And when you go around curves, that's not what happens with your axles. And so pressure builds up. And I've had people say, I've done it and it's fine. Yeah, you're lucky because you made enough right turns and left turns that it averaged out to close to zero.
Yeah.
I have been there in my Jeep when I stupidly forgot and had things locked up and made a hard turn. And as I've said before, watch a TJ hop like a bunny rabbit.
It's very interesting you said this, because again, the interwebs giving a plethora of oopsies. A person on one of our local pages towed their Jeep 3 miles to their house at 50 miles an hour.
and without disconnecting the drive shaft, without putting it in
thought
neutral.
it had it in neutral because of stick shift. They thought they had it in neutral. It was in first gear in low range.
Yep. And it dang near caught fire.
Yep. And he said, it won't start. Well, there's probably a reason why. You probably over-revved the engine.
Yeah.
And I said, he goes, what do I do? I said, call your insurance company.
That's really all you can do.
That's all you can do.
Unless you're a really good hands-on mechanic who's willing to tear it down to the bare knuckles and come back up. I think we're at break time.
Yeah, we're at break time. We're going to take a quick break and swap out some batteries and take a litter box stop, and we will be right back. I booped this. We'll be right back, kids.
Batteries.
Yeah, I got to hit the litter box.
Hey, Patreons, we're back.
Hello again. Hello again.
Are we? Oh, I'm not here either.
Did your thing turn off? Did I unplug it?
No, we're good. We're good now.
Okay, cool.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hey, Patrons, we're back.
So,
you feel better? Yeah.
Oh yeah. I feel
okay.
better.
All right. So, are you going to do your little midpoint?
Hello, listeners and fellow Jeepers and Jeepettes. This is Scott from On the Trail. Just reminding you once again to, as usual, check our Patreon page. Big thank you to all our Patreons, including the corporate ones. And not to mention to check out the 4x4 Radio Network. So with that, we're going to tippy-tire on into the mood setting of Christmas lights off the roof in Kevin's garage.
It's not Christmas lights. It's the marker lights on the TJ are finally working.
Hey, how about that? I thought I saw an amber glow. I thought, oh, please don't let that be the check engine light.
No. It's the. I've had an interesting couple of weeks since the last show, folks. I wish I could come up with a long list, but it's just been one of those weeks that. These 2 weeks actually, where just a lot of those annoying little projects that were hanging around,
like Kevin's to turn a coin or to coin a Kevin's favorite phrase. I can't get that out. Nitnoiding little things.
Yeah, nitnoiding little things that I'll get to it later. So, you've heard me talk about this for I hate to admit it, almost 2 years.
Hey, I'm rubbing off on you, buddy. Yeah.
The side marker lights. For those of you who do pay attention to Jeep wiring, you'll know that Chrysler, in decades of vehicles, side marker lights had an interesting habit that during the day they would blink in unison with your turn signals, which is at the front and rear, but at night they would blink in opposition.
Yeah, they wigwagged.
They wigwagged, as they call it. And it's because of a little electrical nitnoid thing I've mentioned before called a floating ground. Those side marker lights did not have a ground wire.
Yeah.
And that's because they grounded through the light bulbs in the turn signals, and that was fine. It worked great with an incandescent bulb because during the day current flow was from A to B, but at night when you hit your blinkers and you had your parking lights on, it was from B to A.
Right. Well, you don't want your current to be A to Z because Z stands for zap.
Well, yeah, that does come into play, even though not quite that exactly.
Come on, you guys knew my jokes had to be current.
He's back at it. It's Christmas time.
Spark of inspiration. Sorry.
Yes, you did.
It's like the Griswold family Christmas tree when I do wiring. Yeah, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Interesting you do that, though, because that little buzziness is from AC current, and that's really what you have to treat those two wires to the side marker light as. Even though it's very, very, very slow, blink, 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 blink. It's AC current is what's making it do that. Well, I came up with a little dirty trick. I mentioned it quite some time ago about using 4 Zener diodes on each side. And so I went through a couple of prototypes, and I was showing Scott each one as I went along, and I was getting microer and microer and microer. My goal here, as you guys have known, is my Jeep's name is slightly altered, and the idea is it's modified, but I don't want the world to know it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to come up with a diode pack that would essentially rectify that alternating type of current into DC current that would run LED lights. Because LEDs, unfortunately, only work in A to B.
Right.
Unless you turn them around, then they only work from B to A. Which means I could either have side marker lights during the day or side marker lights at night.
Right.
Which meant stopping and unhooking the side marker light, turning the bulbs over, and then hopping back into driving. It was a little bit of a pain in the tuchus.
Yeah, I would do it just because I'm lazy. But then again, it's really, when you're lazy to wire it correctly, you spend more energy flipping bulbs than you would just wiring it correctly.
And there was lots of little discussions with people about, why don't I just put one diode in each line and put a ground on the bulb? Well, that wouldn't work at night.
Right.
Because then the side marker light would stay on because of the parking lights feed. And the only way to do it was to put a little diode rectifier. And I got it down to a point where the little diode rectifier was less of the diameter when the package than a pencil. Mm-hmm. And so it went right inside the wire loom with the marine grade heat shrink, sealing it all up. Yeah. And I now have LED turn signals and side marker lights that work just like they did when it was originally all glass. Mm-hmm. And it wigwags at night, and it's in synchronous during the day, and it is LED. And I've had several people go, well, then you can't be using an LED bulb. Yeah, I am. Mm-hmm. How did you do that? It's magic. So, little things like that. I have my tube doors back on. It's the season, as we mentioned earlier, but I had to use my manual override switches for my steps, and I got tired of that. And so the prototype new magnet mounts are on the tube doors to see how long they survive, whether I wipe them off or not. They're just put on with 3M body tape, which is pretty tenacious stuff, considering it holds most of your body moldings on your vehicles. And so far, so good, And it's just those kinds of little get around to it. And I got a bag of them from somebody, little round circles that say TU on one side and IT on the other.
There's a round to it.
Yeah, and therefore I had to comply.
Yuck, yuck, yuck.
Yuck.
I got a trash bag full of those things I need to get to.
Yeah. So, but on the other hand, I do want to give you guys one bit of information and then another neat quick tip that Scott and I kind of stumbled over. Mm-hmm. And I'll go with the quick tip. And this one's really applicable to CJs, YJs,
and
TJs, and it's becoming usable to the JK crew as their Jeeps age. Mm-hmm. And what we're talking about here are rubber hose connections. TJs are notorious on the PCV system of drying out and splitting the little hoses that hook up the suction tube to the brake booster, to the PCV fitting, to the manifold, the jumper to the intake system. And some of them are easy. They're just, half-inch vacuum pipe that you can buy a roll of. And it's kind of annoying because you got to buy like a 10-foot roll to get a piece that you need 2 inches long. But there's a bunch. Jeeps seem to really get crazy about
the press-on connectors.
There's different sizes. Like there's the PCV one is like 3/4 inch into the valve cover and 1/2 inch into the pipe. Yeah. Try to find one. Yeah. It's nigh on impossible. And so what do? And I've seen a lot of creative solutions using 3/4 inch hose with a hose clamp, shove in a piece of 1/2 inch hose inside the 3/4 hose clamp, and then slide that onto. Yeah, they kind of work. And we stumbled across a very simple, very elegant solution that adapts itself to whatever shape. If it's a 90-degree elbow fitting, if it's a little 1/8 inch vacuum line, and that is heavier marine grade, which has the adhesive heat shrink tubing.
Yes.
And I had a roll of the ones for making battery terminals, and tried it on mine. And that stuff shrunk right down, closed up that crazy PCV, closed the cracks up, shrunk it tight like it had a hose clamp on it. Mm-hmm. I can still get it on and off, but boy, it's a snug fit, so I'm not getting any vacuum leaks. I even had the hard plastic vacuum line to my cruise control diaphragm unit. Kind of got in my way working one time, and I didn't realize it, and it kind of got snapped. Yeah. Try and find that stuff in the parts store.
And
it doesn't exist.
Well, not only that, even the OEM stuff, they haven't made it. Yeah. And so now it's getting very much discontinued and not available anymore.
Right. So again, if you can get the pieces together, so that they're butted up snug, slide a piece of the marine grade. That's typically the one with the adhesive in it. That's the key to this. Yeah. and warm it up and heat it, and it shrunk down, and it holds the pieces together, it bonds them together. Yeah, there's a slight bump in the thing, but it's even black like the plastic. It disappears. And so I've gone through and got rid of vacuum leaks in my Jeep. We went through Scott's and found, four or five,
multitude
that
of
were
them.
whistling. And amazing, his duck doors now work, his idle smoothed out. Only problem is now the engine's pulling clean, and it's back to fighting him, trying to get the idle down as low as possible, ticking over at 500 RPM, going
No, it's actually bogging down, stumbling. I'm going to pull the throttle body out and clean it.
Clean it again.
Maybe I got some. I never did it the first time because I procrastinated.
So that's one of those tips. Take a look. You can find the battery heat shrink in various locations.
Yeah.
It comes in some of the bulk kits you can get at parts stores, but it's just as easy to go on Amazon, Walmart, online, any one of those, and get the large diameter, 3/4 inch, 1 inch heat shrink tubing. It usually shrinks at a 3-to-1 ratio. So you can kind of gauge that. All right, if I start off with a 1 inch piece, is the smaller end of the pipe I'm shrinking to going to fit, or am I going to be loose? Is it going to shrink enough? So far, I've not had one that didn't shrink up. I think if there's a secret to it, don't cut it overly long. You don't really want the adhesive to go onto the
plastic,
to the hose pipe or the plastic pipe. You just want to bond it as an outer jacket on the original rubber sleeve. But be prepared. That stuff shrinks tight, and depending on how loose you put it on and how much you heat it, it was a little tough getting some of my fittings back on. I actually had to go back like they were new and put a little grease on the fittings to get them to pop in. But the nice thing is that shows 0 vacuum leaks now.
Yeah.
So that's an easy one. Now the other one is some new products. This one came in. I was over visiting Shane at Specialty Drive Shafts in Brandon, Florida.
Yeah.
And he was all proud and showing me this bench that he built and the equipment that he put on the bench. And this bench is 4 foot deep and probably 32 feet long.
Yeah.
Long bench with lots of lights and an interesting channel, a little V-groove down, mounted in the thing, and some funky looking tools at either end. And I'm like, what are you making now? That didn't look like drive shafts. He says, nope. He's gotten into push-pull cable manufacturing. And he's got let me see if I can get this right. Orscheln line of high-performance control cables and hardware. And what that means, folks, to you and me, is you got an aux locker that's got a manual feed and your cable got damaged, or you have an aux locker and you want to put the pull handles somewhere that the cable doesn't reach, or you got 3 feet extra coiled up somewhere in your Jeep. Maybe you've got a Savvy shifter or one of the other name brands that uses a cable conversion in your TJ or your YJ, and you've done some drops and the cable doesn't reach. They are now available custom made. He can make, oh my Lord, I'm sitting here looking at this thing. Every series, every gauge, every length. He's got a handbook on it. And whether it needs a fork end, whether it needs a pivot, a ball pivot, you want it with a handle on the end, a T-bar, a plug,
you name it.
You name it. He can make them up there. Now, I don't know what the cost is, but it's got to be cheaper than a lot of things, and when you can't get it anywhere else,
cost really doesn't matter.
Cost doesn't matter. But I'm sitting here looking at it. He's got stop collars, terminal ice, field clamps available, threaded hubs, slip links, shims, shifter cable connections, clevises, ball joints, conduit clips, clip brackets.
5 feet of cable.
Yeah.
I couldn't resist.
He can also get handles for it for different things. So if you've got some heavy equipment that uses the push-pull control cables, they can work as well. But in the Jeep world, I do know that I've got friends who have, mechanically engaged lockers, and they want to buy a new cable because they're doing something different.
Or they want a thumb control throttle for their when they have a 6
exactly,
speed.
Or something along those lines. But they're like, where can I get these push-pull cables? And people are, we use a bicycle cable. No, these aren't these. These are the heavy cables that are ensheathed and sealed, lubricated, and will operate things like the twin sticks for an Atlas transfer case.
Right.
I remember
this isn't a lawnmower cable from Home Depot.
Yeah, this is the stuff that you can drive with and reliably work with. Mm-hmm. So that specialty drive shaft in Brandon, Florida. You can also reach out to us on our Facebook page or email us if you need some contact information.
On the Trail Podcast at gmail.com.
Yep. And I can get you in contact with Shane and the guys. They're excited. Obviously a lot of their work is going to be in the heavy equipment world, because a lot of the big equipment that you see now uses push-pull cables on the backhoes and the dozers and those things. Yeah. But here's the neat thing. Shane's a Jeeper. His wife has an LJ, and they have just gone for Crawling for the Fallen this past couple of weeks ago, and he's really getting into the Jeep life. So, he's attentive and understanding of what Jeep means, and is probably more than willing than most to listen to you and maybe give you a hand.
Not only that, understand what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
That's when we talk about reaching out to these boutique manufacturers and saying, hey, this is what I'm trying to do. Here are my parameters. A, do you do it, or B, can you put me in the right direction? That's a good place to start.
And the other thing is, he is a field distributor of these products, and there are others. So if you're listening to us in Canada or somewhere else, the Orscheln, it's Orscheln company is the one that is manufacturing the components for the end retailers to custom fit to your length and dimension. And it's nice because you can order the jacket length with or without threaded ends or termination couplings or whatever you need, and then you turn around and you tell him how much cable you need. So if you have one that, let's say it's one of the weirder ones that the cable comes out of it like a TV cable on transmission, then has to wrap around a bell crank, so you need 7 inches hanging out from the end of it with a threaded coupling or maybe a ball fitting on the end. He can make all that, make it to order. So it does mean that you do have to learn how to use a tape measure correctly.
Yeah. I wish I was joking. As long as I'm down to the 1/4 inch, we're good.
Yeah. So, but he'll work with you on that, and it's one of those things that I've already had a customer or two of his come in, and they ended up doing something relatively smart. Mm-hmm. Okay. They took the plastic air tubing that you use for fish tanks that you can buy at Wally World or anywhere like that, and they measured that out as their sheath and a little tape on each end where they wanted the threaded fittings, and then they pushed string through it. Actually, it wasn't string, it was a wire of some kind. Maybe it was the wire from picture hanging wire or something like that. Or
even fishing line.
It's something you can push through the cable, and then they kind of twisted around a nut, and this is where I need this fitting. and they went in and go, this is what I need. And he was laughing. He said, as crazy as it is, that's actually
a really good way to do it. Because I'd be sending him either the picture of my finger where the measurement tape is, and going, okay, I need this, or the 11th little line after the big one.
Yeah.
And those who know me know I'm not joking.
He isn't. That's the sad thing, because he sent me a few of those pictures.
I sent that to you in confidence. Jerk. I'm kidding. Those in Patreon saw me laughing.
Yeah.
Big wink.
So anyway, that's just something new available to the market that I have not myself seen anywhere else, other than a specialty boutique. Yeah. And the nice thing is that here we got a Jeeper who runs a shop that can make the cables that a lot of our Jeeps need.
Oh, yeah.
So, it's one of those specialty items.
I want to do like landing flaps, like air brakes on my Jeep,
Why do you need anything else slowing you down?
I don't know.
If you're going to put anything from an aircraft on it, how about some propulsion units?
Speed racer over here with the
0 to 60 eventually.
Parts.
Hey. It doesn't go any faster than any other vehicle on the road.
Yeah, tell that to the Model T you passed.
Hey, I threw out a line for him to catch on. I'll pull him.
The Roadrunner's still trying to catch up. I saw the Coyote got Auto Trader going, I need to get me one of those. Well, who makes a slightly alternate again?
Yeah. I have fun with slightly altered. He just gets at me because we were playing around and I was demonstrating the fact that TJ brakes can work.
Oh yeah, especially those Black Magic brake pads.
Yes, hats off to
Blaine.
Blaine, thank you, Mr. Blaine. I was having a name. Sorry, Blaine. Having a name. We were driving along and then doing about 40 miles an hour in a road.
And it was literally, hey, Scott, watch this moment.
Yeah, I literally, I gave you a chance to hold on.
Yeah, he did say, hold on, I want to try something.
I want to show you something. And locked them up. Yeah. And everybody's like, and I love those Dick Seepick fun countries because they howl in the most amazing... No, they didn't hop at all. They just had that steady... And everybody in the neighborhood's going, what the heck?
Oh, it's just that guy in that Jeep again. I'm joking.
No, there's a few of those.
Yeah, I was going to say.
There's a few of those that look at me. I'm the only one who drives down the street. I live on the end of a circle, folks, and right now I have about 7 acres of land behind me. And I did get down to about 15 miles an hour and turned off the driveway through the side yard, between the houses, down over the bank in the back, and into my back pasture without stopping and hitting the brakes once. And they're all like, I'm not sure the HOA. If you don't sell them, they won't know.
Exactly. I'm having some fun.
Well, no, I was taking some stuff down to the end of the property. I'm not going to carry it.
That's for the plebeians and their wheelbarrows.
Well, if they want. Hey, I told my neighbors with the little Yaris, if they needed to take some stuff down there to access their back property, they were welcome to try it. And they took one look at it and going, you're kidding me. No, I'll winch you back up the hill. Anyhow.
I think it's time we call this one a show.
Yeah, I think we've probably alienated a bunch of people who were... Anyway, as far as the new V8s, I'm going to adopt officially a wait and see.
Mm-hmm. Kind of like what we did with the Gladiator.
Yeah. Well, no, you ran out and bought one.
No,
that was no wait and see.
No, I did not run out right away and bought them.
Yeah, you waited a week and a half.
No, I bought mine in January. They came out in August of last year.
Okay, you waited 4 months.
5 or 6 months. Jeez, man. I did my homework.
He's just waiting for the model year to tick over so people say, don't buy the first model year. I didn't.
No, I didn't buy the first model year because the 2018 JL is the same vehicle, except this one's a little longer and a longer drive shaft. I'm not wrong.
You're not exactly right either, but you're not wrong. I'll grant you that.
Okay, if it's a defective in sheet metal, it'll rust.
What?
If it's a defect in the sheet metal, it'll rust. That's the only difference. Is a sheet metal and a hydroformed frame.
Oh well, folks, that was an interesting little discussion we had on the 392.
Yeah, my bottom still hurts when you smacked me with a ruler.
Did not. That was just you trying out your seat. You wanted solid seats.
Hush, hush, hush. Remember, that hasn't happened yet. Wink, wink.
Yes, it has. We just haven't had time to talk about it, and we promise you we will update you on a little bit of an interesting. Is it cheaper to repair or to replace?
We're going to bring you to that little slice of Jeep heaven in show 107.
And 107. Oh, God.
Yes. End on a good note. So with that, I think it's time we put the Jeep in 4 low.
Lock hubs.
And hit the trail.
All right. Well, remember, as we always say, take nothing but pictures, memories, and...
your trash.
When you leave the trail. We want to leave it open and clean for our kids and our grandkids.
And remember to wheel legal and tread lightly, kids.
Please. Thanks again, and happy planning for Christmas. Time to start shopping.
Oh, boy. Bye.
Bye now. All right. Do you want to do the next show?
Oh, yeah.
Should I go change a t-shirt?
Yeah, I'm going to change my t-shirt.
I'm going to go